Hello everyone, this is a review of the PenPad shortcut panel for Procreate. This is a hardware, keyboard-like device that gives you more ways to control your experience when you're drawing or painting in Procreate. So this product is designed by PenTips. They make those little rubber tips for the end of your Apple Pencil. They also make some screen protectors that I've reviewed here on the channel. This device is engineered specifically for the iPad and very specifically for using with Procreate. It's not going to work with Fresco. It's not going to work with any other apps on your iPad. It's not going to work with anything on your desktop. It's very specific to Procreate. So I'm an illustrator and I normally work in Photoshop on my Mac, and so I'm very used to having my keyboard available under my left hand while I'm drawing with my right hand using my iPad as a graphics panel. I use Astropad for that. I was really excited when PenTips reached out to me to review this product because I believe that my experience illustrating in Procreate could be really improved if I could access some of the functions a lot more quickly without doing all those gestures and waving of hands and triple taps and stuff like that, and actually have some kind of hardware device like a keyboard to access some of my most used functions. So let's first look at price. How much does this thing cost? In American dollars, it's $109. In Canadian, it ends up being $169.99, but they have a 10% off your first purchase on the website. Also, they do have included shipping or free shipping, and that's for any order over $49.99. So that's definitely going to apply to this product. They also have a 60-day full money back guarantee. You can try it out, and if you're not fully satisfied, they will let you return it for a full refund. So now let's just go through some of the hardware specs. And while I'm talking about this, I'm going to shift over to my overhead view here. So to look at and hold this thing, it's small and lightweight, but it still feels like a really well-built product, and it doesn't feel cheap. I also like that this thing comes in white and black. They gave me the option of which color to choose, and so of course I wanted white to match my Apple Pencil and my Magic Keyboard. So in terms of size, you can see me holding it here. I'd say it's about the size of a greeting card, like an A4 greeting card, or if you're really old school, it's kind of the size of a Polaroid photo. That's what it makes me think about. And in terms of its profile, it's nice and thin. It's about the thickness, I'd say, of a Apple Magic Keyboard. I'd say it weighs just slightly less than my iPhone 13. So as you can see, it has these dedicated buttons. There are 22 of them. It also has a modifier key. That's what this PenTips button does, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. So it does charge with USB-C, and it will take about 2 hours to a full charge, and they say that that charge should last you a week before your next charge. They do include a USB cable, a USB-C cable for charging. So what I'm going to do is just go into my iPad and I'll go into Bluetooth and show you what it's like to connect it. I'm going to turn on the button here. I did have to charge it before I got going. And now that I've pressed and held that little gear button for about 5 seconds, I see it down here. So I'm going to connect it that way. So I'm going to open up Procreate and let's just start using it, and I'll tell you what I'm feeling as best as I can. So maybe before we start, why don't we just press every button and just see what happens. So I'm gonna hit the gear button, and that gear button will open my actions menu there. Makes sense. Full screen will give me a full screen view on the iPad. So this button here gives you color balance. HSB gives you hue, saturation, and brightness controls. Layers, the select tool, redo, undo. Okay, so this gives me select, and maybe, I don't know what this button does. This will toggle between drawing and erasing, which is pretty straightforward. I'll actually just go and choose a brush here. Try artist crayon. Make that bigger using my size control. This button seems to cycle through different colors. And this button does the color panel. This is cut, just cuts the layer or whatever you've selected. This must be paste over here. Yep. And then this must be copy. And then quick menu gives you your quick menu. PenTips doesn't seem to do anything. And holding this little eyedropper button allows me to select a color using the eyedropper. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick little drawing demo here. I won't take too long. I just want to see if I can demonstrate some of the usefulness of this panel in a small way. So having just did this little test with it, I'll tell you a little bit about my experience. So first of all, it did take a little bit of getting used to the fact that it was there. I just had to keep reminding myself to try and use it instead of the shortcuts that I'm kind of used to at this point in Procreate. So off the bat, the things that I love about this thing are that I can switch between the pencil, or the brush I should say, the brush and the eraser. Switching between these two things, usually I have to go up and use my pencil to select the little things up in the top toolbar there. So if I can get used to just switching between those things using my two fingers on the buttons, then I think that is a nice little improvement. I know that Apple Pencil allows a little double tap of the finger, but the problem with that for me is that I just hit that by accident all the time, and that's just really frustrating. Another welcome function on this thing that I think has a lot of potential for me is the ability to rapidly copy and paste things. Right now in Procreate, you have to sort of swipe down with 3 fingers, get the copy menu, do all those things kind of in successive gestures, which can take a lot of time. And if you're doing a lot of like copy paste type operations, that can become very laggy and slow feeling. Aside from just like using it, I'd say other things that I love about this are that it is a really good quality build. The plastic feels good. It doesn't feel cheap. It's weighty enough that it stays put on my desk. It has these little rubber feet, so it doesn't slide around on my smooth desk, which my Apple keyboard does. So I had to put this little like rubber stuff on the back. I also like that it comes in white, and so it looks good with the rest of my Apple hardware. Now, let's go through some of the things that I don't like about it, or that I kind of just have questions about. Some of the shortcuts, in my opinion, don't really save time. They're just as easy to access as gestures. Like, for instance, undo is just 2 quick taps with your fingers. I suppose if you're used to the shortcut, you can save a half second. Another thing that's kind of weird to me is that they include shortcuts for functions that I don't think are that frequently used for most people, like the hue, saturation, and brightness, or color balance. Personally, in my own work, I would never need a shortcut for that, but if there are people out there who use these, I'd actually be curious to know. Let me know in the comments. Another thing that I think is a big question mark is the PenTips button. So they have this big honkin' PenTips button. It only does one thing, and it modifies the increment of going up and down in size in your brushes, and that feels very much like a missed opportunity. I feel like you could add more functions to this thing just by using the PenTips button plus all those other keys in different combinations. So apart from those things, I really think that the PenPad is missing some key functions, like the ability to toggle on and off the drawing guide, quick shape, and snapping. I think those would make great shortcut keys or functions on this thing. Now, this is another thing that I like to do often is if I have my brush set in one thing and then I want to change my eraser to that same brush, I'll just press and hold the eraser and it will take on that same brush and use it as my eraser. That's something that I think this little pen panel should be able to do just by pressing and holding that eraser button. Now, the other thing that I really think this needs is a generative AI button, like a button on this that I could just press and it would make my illustration for me.
I really fucking hate generative AI.
So at the end of the day, what's my verdict? I really think this product has the potential to be a game changer for some illustrators who use these functions a lot, and they would prefer to do it with a hardware device rather than through gestures. That being said, I do think it needs a little bit more development before it becomes a true game changer for me, just because a lot of these functions don't actually save me time. It's just another way of doing it. I do also think that it's a little bit on the pricey side. If you want to experiment with having a hardware controller connected to your iPad, what you might not know is you can actually just connect a Bluetooth keyboard to your iPad. This is just a cheap one I got on Amazon for maybe 20 bucks, and you can connect that to your iPad. I actually wrote the shortcuts down in a paint pen just so I knew what they were while I was learning how to do it. And of course, the benefit of having a regular keyboard is you can use it to type and navigate your way through some other applications as well. Now, if you have that kind of money to spare, having a nice dedicated device like the PenPad could be perfect for you. So I am curious if any of you watching this review already have the PenPad and you're just trying to figure out what other people think about it. Please let me know in a comment. Is this thing a game changer for you? Are you happy with it? Satisfied? Dissatisfied? Whatever it is, please let me know in the comment. I'd love to know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please let me know in a comment. Be sure to like it, subscribe to this channel. My name is Mr. Tom Froese. I will see you in the next one.